What's going on, guys? We're back with another Series 13 team building video, and today I'm taking a look at Zekrom, right? Because this is one of the Pokemon that I've been intrigued in the last couple of days or so, and I've seen it rise through the ranks, and for good reason, right? And you might imagine, how is that possible? Why Zekrom? It was nowhere to be found in Series 8, Series 11, and even in Series 12. It wasn't really used all that often, right? Unless you were just trying to have fun on ladder. But now in Series 13, because you're not limited in the number of restricteds that you can use, Zekrom actually has some good value, right? Because it's not going to be your best restricted, it's not going to be your second best restricted, but it can be your third or even your fourth best option on your team, depending on the makeup, right? And the reason why Zekrom, I think, is quite good is because think of all the Kyogre teams that are running around, right? So picture that in your head, and then at the same time, think of all the Yveltal teams that are running around as well. And remember, we always say Yveltal is like the best Pokemon in the format right now. And now think of how many teams that have both Kyogre and Yveltal on the same team. A lot of them, right? Like almost maybe 70 to 80% of those teams have both of them on their team. So like Zekrom is actually really good against both of those, all things considered, because you have like that electric attack against both of them, and then you can't really pivot them out into each other, right? Unless they have like some electric immunity, unless there's like a dual weather on the team with like Groudon, but then you have 5 other slots to deal with Groudon, right? In that case, but there's value right there. And then at the same time, what else can Zekrom give you? Well, imagine things like Regieleki, right? Even Zeraora, or imagine Zeraora and Regieleki. What are those two things doing to Zekrom? Not a whole lot, right? Because look at our bulk: base 100 HP, base 120 defense, base 100 special defense. So like Regieleki and Zeraora are not going to have a great time against Zekrom either, right? So there's value there. And then if you think about like the type of move set it can run, just something like a physical set, right? Which is what we're going to build around in this type of video. I think something like Bolt Strike is really good. Dragon Claw just for like your Dragon Stab, and then here you have, well, we'll have Protect in the last slot, but here you have the option of something like either Fly or Dual Wing Beat for Max Airstream, which is actually really, really nice. And the idea here is with Max Airstream, now you have the ability to go for more speed control against the opponent, because you can make your team faster that way with Zekrom. And imagine things like Venusaur or other grass types on the team, right? And you can just Airstream that, and then Venusaur just goes down, right? And then if their Venusaur is on like Groudon teams, you can just slap on a Kyogre on here, which we will do, and then you just counter the weather that way, right? And then even Charizard, what is Charizard going to do to Zekrom? Nothing, right? Because you resist the wildfire damage, and then you can just KO it right back with your electric move. So Zekrom is actually doing a lot for the team already. And then something like this with Kyogre, of course you're going to be going with like Whimsicott, okay? Because the tailwind pressure along with Zekrom clicking Airstream, just to get just against the mirror, right? If they have a Whimsicott plus something else, then you have speed control that way, right? And I think it's really, really nice that you can do that. Okay, and then you can even lead like Zekrom Kyogre stuff, and then just Airstream, make your Kyogre faster as well. So I think there's a lot of merit there into having Max Airstream, right? And then I'll show you another move that you can have if you don't want like either Fly or Dual Wing Beat. But this is 100% getting a Life Orb. We want Zekrom to do like big damage, okay? And then of course Kyogre, right? Just good against Groudon stuff, right? And it's a great pivot into Zekrom just in case there's an Aleki in the back. Or there's a Rillaboom, a Venusaur that wants to deal like big grass damage. You can just switch out into Zekrom, and then just counter play from there, right? Now from here, what else can you do? So I do like Zacian here. Of course, why not, right? Because Swordfish along with Whimsicott always just exerts all kinds of pressure, right? And it's very, very strong in terms of what you can do with this team, because now you have a Dragon Fairy Steel Core, right? Because you got a Steel type here, which also serves as a Fairy type, and then you have the Dragon coverage with the Zekrom, the Dragon typing, I should say. So really, really nice there. Now that being said, both of these things are weak to ground type moves, so you are gonna want like some kind of flying pivot option, and I think Yveltal gives you that pivot option, along with adding a few other things to the team, right? So something like Calyrex Shadow Rider or Lunala on the team, or even like Palkia stuff. You can just like snarl it, and you know they just don't do anything for the rest of the game. And of course, this is going to be an Assault Vest Yveltal, like for most of our teams, right? So really good here. And again, another Pokemon that gets access to Airstream, right? So another form of speed control besides like, you know, either Tailwind or Airstream on your own Zekrom. And then from here, you have the option to even go for your own Lunala, but I think Calyrex Shadow Rider with a Trick Room option is actually quite good here. So we'll go here with the Calyrex. This will have the Focus Sash, by the way. You know, I'm just like, you know, picturing the team here. So like, imagine this, right? You lead either Yveltal Calyrex, Yveltal Kyogre, Airstream, make these behemoths super fast, go for their broken spread moves. And then also what you can do with Zekrom, now that you have the Calyrex and the Kyogre on the same team, if you don't like Airstream, you have the option to go for Crunch, right? And Crunch not only will give you that option also against Shadow Riders and Lunalas, but now you have Max Darkness, which can drop special defenses, and then that'll make Kyogre and Calyrex hit super hard from the back. So what you can do is like lead Zekrom Whimsicott, go for Tailwind, maybe, you know, KO something, or maybe just go for Max Darkness right away. Then, you know, they KO your Whimsicott, you bring in Kyogre, you bring in Calyrex, and now all of a sudden, you have Water Spout and Astral Barrage pressure against things with -1 special defense. So, you know, really nice combinations that you can do here. Yveltal can also do that too. You know, like Whimsicott Yveltal with Kyogre and Calyrex in the back. So there's that. Okay, but again, I'm just showing you like different options and different ways that you can use Zekrom on a team like this. But for now, we'll just go with like dual Wing Beat. You know, this is also pretty good against Breaking Sash. Or you can go for like Fly. Either way, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think in the video, I was testing out Crunch. So I'll leave Crunch there. But like, you know, Airstream was really nice on Zekrom to have, right? Now from here, I think my Kyogre, we just want like, actually, well, we'll just actually, let me reveal the GIFs first, right? So then we'll get into the team building. We'll finish the team building, I should say. So Whimsicott for the speed control, Kyogre for, you know, countering Groudon stuff, and then, you know, Water Spout pressure with Tailwind. Zacian just because it's the strongest restricted. You get a Dragon Fairy Steel Core, and then again another strong Pokemon to click, you know, your Steel and Fairy moves with, and then Yveltal is really good. Another Airstream user, something for Calyrex, and then your own Calyrex, of course, right? So that's our hyper-aggressive team, again, with a Whimsicott here. So now let's just finish off building this team and showcase it a little bit on some showdown battles. Okay, so again, we did the moveset and the item with Zekrom, so now let's go ahead and do Kyogre. So this is very simple, right? So like Water Spout, Water Spout, Origin Pulse. Now, again, you have the, like if you have Thunder on this team, right? Thunder is actually interesting, right? Because you either have, you Dynamax Zekrom, you set Terrain, Kyogre all of a sudden clicks Thunder. It's now, you know, a boosted Thunder, which is actually really nice. Or you can Dynamax Kyogre, click Max Lightning yourself, and then Zekrom has a stronger Bolt Strike, right? Because of the terrain. So a lot of synergy there. You can also go for Ice Beam just because you have the option to change weather against Groudon, and something also super fast to click into Venusaur stuff. I think there's some merit there. You know, but for now, I think we'll just go with Thunder just because there's a little bit better synergy with the Zekrom. But if you want Ice Beam, you're more than welcome to go for Ice Beam. Protect here, and then this is just Mystic Water, just like an offensive Kyogre here is relatively safe. So Tailwind here, I think this is really nice. You can go for Helping Hand. I think Helping Hand, like Water Spout plays, is really nice. And, you know, if they want to pivot in Groudon, you know, and just reduce your water damage, you can kind of offset that by just clicking Helping Hand and clicking your water move, right? And then just have not too much fear of Groudon coming in, because they might be able to take it, but it's not going to take it very well if you're going to click Helping Hand. So there's something like that there. Now from here, I think you want at least one attacking move. Maybe you have Moonblast, I want to say, like, you know, just because, I mean, you do have Zacian, but like, do you also want grass coverage with like Energy Ball on this Whimsicott? That's my question here. Yes and no. I think Moonblast is still okay, and then like Cotton Spore is really cool. And And then just having like an eject, you can even have like an eject button here, or you can even have like a mental herb on the Whimsicott. Lots of options that you can run on the Whimsicott here, because you know this is getting the focus sash 100%, no questions asked. Now that being said, I think the eject button is quite nice here. I think we'll just go for that. That being said, you could even go for like switcheroo and then just like sucker punch things out of there, so that way they waste their max. We've done that before. I think in the most recent video, that's a combo that we did in game 1. But I do like having Cotton Spore here, just like for the mirror matchup stuff, right? So yeah, and then Zacian. Okay, so very standard set: Behemoth Blade, Sacred Sword, Play Rough, and then Protect here, right? Now, if you want to run Substitute here and then get rid of the Trick Room here, I think that's fine. But you know, I like having the Fairy Stab. Of course, here is just Oblivion Wing, Sucker Punch, Foul Play. Right, and then we go Snarl, just because aesthetically it is a little bit more pleasing to me. All right, and then, you know, like Foul Play just does so much damage against like physical hitters like a Zacian, a Melmetal, a Groudon, something else that, you know, doesn't want to, like Calyrex Ice Rider for that instance. And then Snarl just bullies Palkias, bullies Kyogres, bullies Calyrexes, bullies Lunalas also a little bit. So Snarl is really, really good. And then Calyrex, of course, you got to go with your Stab, Astro Barrage, and then Will-O-Wisp for the nice key burn that you can get onto those big physical attackers, and then of course Protect in the last slot, right? So I think something like this, you know, seems like relatively standard, but it's actually really, really cool in terms of trying to, you know, add Zekrom as some kind of, you know, option that gives you things that maybe other Pokemon on the team can't give you. Like if you put Regieleki on this, right? Okay, like the thing with Eleki, yes, you'll get Electro Web access. Yes, you can get like Airstream stuff. But again, you're frail. You can't really use it as a pivot option, and the Dragon typing helps us a little bit, you know, because of that, right? So I do like Zekrom for that reason. Okay, and now you might say it can just get intimidated by Incineroar. Well, like, yeah, but you have a Kyogre and you have a Zacian with Sacred Sword. So like, Incin could be an issue, but like, not a whole lot, and there's not as many instances this time around because, you know, it's just not being used. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. It is being used, just not like 70% usage, more like 50, which is still like insane. But yeah, I mean, you still have your Kyogre, so you're totally fine there, right? So now let's just, let's work out the EV spreads here. Because this is like a hyper-aggressive team, we're not going to do like too many complicated spreads here. We don't have Grimmsnarl. We're not really calcing for things, you know, so this is just like, you know, Tailwind Hyper Offense. So let's just do like general EV spreads here. So let's take a look. Okay, so yeah, I mean, okay, well, we'll just do Kyogre real quick. So like, again, with the Kyogre, you know, like we always do with this kind of team with Kyogre, we just want like third EV bump to in the modest nature, right? So you go from 218 to 220, you went up by 2 stats here, and then the rest you just add in the last remaining bulk, and of course you are just max speed. Again, the idea is just to outspeed Regieleki with Tailwind. Technically, you can do that with this, but then other ogres are also going for that, so why don't we just outspeed them by going to 140? But then, like, at this point, you're just 16 points away. You know, just go max speed and just outspeed those ogres as well, and then just hit them hard with Thunder. You know, assuming they're not max speed, but you know they very well could be, and then at least force a speed tie at that regard. Don't always use it. Now, that being said, they may be timid ogres with like Choice Scarf as well. You know, that's also a thing. You know, that can also work here, by the way, Choice Scarf timid. If you want to do it like that, that's also fine. But for me, I just like a little bit more damage on my Kyogre, so I just go modest. Whimsicott. So like this kind of, so because I have an eject button, honestly, I'm just going to go like timid here, max speed, of course, but like, do I really need special attack? Not really. So I'm just going to go like 4 points in defense, special defense, special attack, and just dump the wrench into HP, right? Just a bulky Cotton Ball meant to support with like Tailwind, Cotton Spore, Helping Hand plays. You know, really, really cool here. I mean, there's no Protect, but like, you know, if you want Protect, you can put it in. You know, I would probably just take out maybe Helping Hand, right? Because, you know, you have a lot of things that do a lot of damage already, but like, yeah. Zacian, again, I've always used the same Zacian spread since like Series 12, right? It has yet to really fail me. I feel like if any Zacian spread that people make, they're always like good for whatever, just because of how strong it is and how bulky it is. So like, you know, so I feel like most Zacian spreads are pretty good, right? So anyway, I always like an adamant Zacian on a Tailwind team, of course, but either way, we're still going like hard-hitting adamant Zacian here. So like 164 rather than 156, just because like the Rusted Sword boost, instead of just getting a 1.5 multiplier with an odd number, that's going to round it down because it's not a whole number. You go one more to an even number in the attacking stat. So this way, like, you get the most bang out of your buck for the Rusted Sword boost, right? And then from here, just add 1 point in the bulk, and then just the rest in HP, something like this, right? Yveltal over here. So with these Salt Vest Yveltal, no real like insane damage calc that you really need. So honestly, you can just go like max speed, at least have the even number in the special defense, so you maximize the boost that you get from Assault Vest. Again, just like with Zacian Rusted Sword boost, you always want that even number. So this way with the Assault Vest multiplier, you get a nice whole number rather than an odd number, right? Which would round it down. You don't want that. Then just 1 point in the special attack, and then, you know, enough investment where you hit this 223 HP mark, which will optimize weather damage, stuff like max, you know, like rockfall, sand damage, or like hailstorm, ice damage, you know, things like that. You can maximize it output there, and then just a little bit of defense here. So this way, if you can like get a Max Wyrmwind off against an opposing, not directly on the Zacian, but like trap the Zacian in and make it -1, at least you can take one Behemoth Blade, or not Behemoth, but rather the play rough damage, right? So at least with that, you have some defensive investment there. And then Calyrex, this is the easiest one. Again, just like the Whimsicott, you just go Timid 252, 252. Nothing really else you need to do in that regard. So yeah, you see how we just made like general EV spreads here, right? Because like, oh, we forgot Zekrom. Zekrom, just make it jolly. So this way you can outspeed those, at the very least, try and outspeed the jolly ogres, the timid ogres. And then from there, just a little bit of life orb optimization, and then the rest can just get dumped into attack, right? Something like this. Or you can, if you want to run like a bulkier adamant set, you can do that. So what you can do is at the very least, go 156 over here. And then, you know, the thing with this speed tier is like, okay, you can go, you can do like 113, because like with 304 EVs, like you have a lot to put into your bulk, right? And at least with Tailwind, you can outspeed opposing Shadow Riders, right? And then you're not worried about a Lucky. So in that regard, what you can do is something like this. You go to 199 HP, and then you have 144 EVs left of bulk to play with, right? So something like this, where you just add a point in special defense, and then the rest just goes into defense like this, right? So at the very least, Zacian stuff or like Groudon stuff, you can survive, at least for a turn, and then, you know, live to tell the tale. All right, this is a very slow Zekrom, and if you like a slower, bulkier Zekrom, then by all means go for it. But yeah, this is the idea with a slow, bulky Zekrom. But if you want just a faster, harder hitting Zekrom, just go with this jolly set over here, and just take basically all that bulk off, and then you can just go max speed here, and then just straight into the attacking stat like this. Or you can just do like 1 point here, 1 point here, and then that's it, right? And I believe that's pretty much it, right? So yeah, so I gave you guys some options, and here's the Pokepaste, right? So again, you have the option if you want to do like Darkness plays over here with like Crunch, or if you want Fly, you can do that too. Ogre, you can do like Ice Beam over Thunder, that's also an option. You can do, you can even like keep Moonblast and then just put like Substitute on this. And then over here, I think this is still okay, like having Trick Room on the Calyrex to be able to flip it. I think it's really, really cool. So, and with the sash, right? I think it's important. So something like this is actually really good. I've seen a 6 similar to this, and you know, it all depends on like how you as a viewer, what kind of sets you want to run on this 6. But like in terms of a starting point, you know, I'm giving it to you. This is a good starting point. Try this out. What I'm going to do now is show you some games using this kind of team where I did have Crunch, but I can see the better utility of Max Airstream, right? So let me just show you some showdown battles, and then we'll just get you guys out of here. Okay, so we're finally playing on like Showdown Ladder, where for the longest time we were testing stuff on like the Legacy server. I know it's been up for a couple of days now, but you know, I've been out doing things, so I haven't been really on the Showdown Ladder. So this is like really fresh at the very bottom. But you know, he's got a pretty standard Series 13 team, right? Like Victini with Groudon, Venusaur. There's an Yveltal, there's a Zacian, there's an Incineroar. Okay, so like Kyogre can do a lot against this kind of team, right? Because you can change the weather, you can put pressure on the Groudon and the Victini, and the Incineroar. And then that being said, that's also why he has a Venusaur on this team, right? So if you look at Zekrom's value here, okay, you don't want to get intimidated. You do have pressure against the Yveltal here. And at the time I had Darkness, so you can do something against Victini, and then drop special defenses, and then maybe Calyrex can pick up from the back. But I went a different route here. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to lead Yveltal and Calyrex Shadow Rider and just see how he decides to lead this, right? So he goes with Yveltal and Venusaur. That tells me there's definitely Groudon in the back somewhere with something else. Now, you might think I'm scared of the Yveltal because of like Sucker Punch pressure, and that is true, I am. That being said, if he decides to do that, I'm going to stay in, and that also means Groudon doesn't come in, right? And that means I outspeed the Venusaur, which means I can just Airstream it, get it out of here. And again, if he has a Cobra Berry, it's not going to work because I have a Calyrex on this field. And this is where the Sash comes in handy, right? So if he decides to max it, that's another story, but let's see what he decides to do. So anyway, okay, yeah, all the animations. So he actually stays in, so no Groudon, and he actually maxes the Venusaur. Okay, so Sucker Punch, okay, there again, but still chip damage from Astral Barrage onto the Venusaur, a little bit on the Yveltal, and there's the Airstream. Now, what I am surprised is that this Venusaur actually lived. I am surprised about that. Okay, that must have been the most lowest roll of possible, and or this might have been like a bulky Venusaur, which it very well could have been. I was surprised to live that Airstream, but that's okay. That being said, he does Vine Lash and he does get rid of my Calyrex. So maybe not so great for me turn one, but again, we have the Ogre. So now what we can do is, like, I know he wants to change the weather here, right? Because he wants to make his Venusaur fast. He wants to like put pressure on this Ogre, and he doesn't want his Yveltal to die right away, right? Because a Water Spout after an Airstream would just take it out, right? So I'm going to read into this, right? So I know he wants to bring in Groudon. So what I'm going to do is bait that, which he does, and I'm going to go right back into Zacian over here, which I had in the back. And then here's the Airstream, you know, so Venusaur never gets a turn to attack. And I know for a fact that was a bulky Venusaur because a +1 Yveltal outsped a Venusaur in Sun. So, you know, I guess I didn't really have anything to worry about, but like either way, still. Okay, so that being said, okay, Vine Lash chip goes on. There's the Victini. Again, I don't really care about Victini. I have the Yveltal pressure. I have Kyogre in the back. I just want to get rid of this Groudon, and I know it's going to be Assault Vest because why not? I mean, he gets rid of Zacian here, but look, he has Yveltal in the back. I still have one more turn of max, and in comes my Kyogre to just click the Water Spout button and then just beat him, right? So there is the value of Dynamax Yveltal, right? So no Zekrom appearance here, but again, you see the value against like Sun teams like this, right? As long as you have Yveltal. That being said, Calyrex made that possible because like in the beginning of the game, right? Because, you know, he had to think about, do I want to bring in Groudon here? And if it does, he takes an Astral Barrage. Now, he could have Sleep Powdered it, but then he just dies to a Max Airstream because he has no Focus Sash. And then Yveltal kind of just like goes bonkers from there. So really good lead against what he had. Let's take a look at another battle. Okay, so this is another Victini Sun team with like Groudon and Venusaur, right? These are always running around. Now he has Regieleki and there's Calyrex and Indeedee. Okay, so like again, stuff like Zekrom actually has some value here, right? Because what we can do is again, we can change terrain with Max, like, right? That's one thing, right? And you know, put pressure on this Indeedee. We could always Airstream the Venusaur if we had the option, right? And then, like, you might say, well, you can just max Groudon. Yes, he can, but again, we have Kyogre and we have things in the back to help deal us with Groudon here. So I think Kyogre coming in later is actually really nice. But what I decided to do is actually lead the Kyogre and go Zekrom right here. Force him to lead or swap in the Groudon here. But instead he goes with Calyrex and Aleki, which is actually very good here because, like, Aleki's not going to do a whole lot to Zekrom. And Calyrex, yes, he can click Astro Barrage, but again, we had the Darkness play if we ever so choose to go for it. But this is like one of those games where like I kind of wish I had Airstream, but I can get rid of the Yveltal at least and make sure he doesn't get speed control that way. So I'm just going to protect the Ogre here, and he maxes the Yveltal, which is very interesting, and he goes for Max Darkness, so this is a physical Yveltal, I know that, and there's the Astro Barrage. This is going to hurt my Zekrom here and does so much damage, right? But at least we remove the Yveltal. Look at, so right away, there's the value of Zekrom, right? Removing the Calyrex, removing the Yveltal with Max Wyrmwind, right? Now that being said, the speed is still on his side, and now he brings in Groudon here. I'm just going to go into my Calyrex here. I'm going to guard the Zekrom so I don't immediately die the Calyrex. And for some reason, he swapped out the Groudon and went for the Venusaur. I felt like if he just clicked Precipice Blades, he was in a very, very good spot. But for some reason, he did that. I'm going to go into Yveltal here. Now I have to start trying to put pressure on the Calyrex with this thing. There's another Astro Barrage. No boost on the Calyrex, which is always nice. And here's Kyogre changing the weather again. Now, if he decides to bring in Groudon and go for Sleep Powder, so be it. That's fine by me. But that means he lets the Kyogre get off for free attack. And he does go for the Sleep Powder. That's fine for me because, again, this is still good chip damage. Like, that's still pretty good damage, right? Now, he can sleep the Kyogre here. Okay, so I have to try at least protect the Ogre. He actually just goes for the Yveltal here with the Weather Ball. And thankfully, one turn sleep is all I need. And, you know, we kill the Venusaur. We get all that recovery. P-Blade's not enough there. Again, I really felt like he should have just stayed in with the Groudon and that other thing. I don't know why he switched it. I clicked Protect just because. And now we just Snarl. And it was actually Specs Calyrex. I was talking to the player after the game. But this is pretty much over, right? So like Yveltal did the job again against the Sun team. Zekrom comes in. It's not really going to get a chance to do anything because I just click Foul Play and Groudon goes down, right? So Zekrom did do something this game, but again, this is probably one of those times where like, kind of wish I had Airstream because he did have speed control on me. Well, not that he had speed control, but like he had faster mons, right? So there's the value of Airstream with Zekrom in that regard. But let's go ahead and take a look at one more. Okay, so this is one last game with, again, another Victini Groudon team, but no Venusaur this time. Instead, he has Suicune. I guess he wants to add Tailwind on his team, and there is a Tentacruel. I would imagine that's like for Kyogre stuff, but like, I have a Zekrom. So, we'll let play start. So it's Suicune and Calyrex. So Tailwind pressure along with Snarl, and here's Kyogre, and here's Zekrom. So Zekrom also looks pretty good against Suicune. I'm afraid of the Groudon swap, which is why I didn't want to go for Max Lightning immediately. And instead just put pressure on this Calyrex, right? I don't really care about Suicune. It's not really doing too much damage here. I just want to get rid of this Calyrex. He does go for the Astro Barrage. Does hurt a little bit, but no swap into Groudon, so I called that wrong, but that's okay because I do get to click the Origin Pulse, and I get rid of one good restricted, right? So Tailwind, he does get it up, and now comes in Zacian, no Groudon, which is very interesting to me. So I'm going to make another hard read here because he has pressure against both of these. So I'm just going to guard the Zekrom and just click Origin Pulse again. And that is exactly what we do here. So I do, you know, he just has to go for the Dynamax. It's just too juicy not to go for it. Does Snarl, does neuter my damage, but again, good damage onto Zacian and a little bit more damage onto Suicune. So there's that. I let him kill the Zekrom from here. I felt like it did what it needed to do. And it stalled one more time. He does miss the Snarl. I do kill the Zacian, but I missed the Suicune. So a little bit of an even trade. And there's a Tentacruel and no Groudon, which I'm very confused about. I felt like if he had Groudon, he had the game won. Or not really had the game won. We still had one more Pokemon in the back, by the way. But I'm going to keep the Kyogre in. I mean, there's no reason not to. I thought Sucker Punch would do the job with Thunder, but again, he had the Citrus Berry. So I'm out of luck there. Oh, nice special attack boost by that Max Ooze. But again, I don't think that's enough in terms of what he wants to do with Tentacruel. Raw Thunder would have picked up with Sucker Punch, but he had the Citrus Berry, so I was out of luck there. Overgrowth kills the Kyogre. That's totally fine by me because Kyogre was kind of neutered. There's a Tailwind again. I did Snarl. I removed at least one of the Max Ooze boosts, and here comes Calyrex, right? So, like, I mean, he's got Tailwind, but I have a Focus Sash, and I have, like, Yveltal over here. So, not a whole lot he can do here. I get rid of the Suicune with the Sucker Punch. Max Geyser into the Calyrex again, you know, even +1, not even enough to get it to Sash. Astro Barrage, and then look, like it's a 2-on-1. His max is done. I mean, like Yveltal is just so strong. Look, that just one-shot Tentacruel, man. I mean, like if anything, this is more like a demonstration of why our Yveltal is like really, really strong. But again, Zekrom did the job, right? It did what it needed to do. I feel like just giving it Airstream would also help it a lot, right? And when I was testing it with these battles, the darkness play wasn't feasible because like they were just forced to lead like faster options, which is probably why I should have just led my faster option to begin with, but they have Trick Room too, right? So I decided not to bring Whimsicott in those regards, right? But that being said, I should just have Airstream on Zekrom, and then it would have been a little bit easier in that sense, right? So that's why I changed the crunch mechanic to a flying move. In this case, you know, could be dual wing beat, could be fly, but yeah. This is what I mean in terms of like what kind of sets you want to run, but I think it's a pretty good team either way. So yeah, I'll put the Pokepaste in the video description below. So test it out for yourself. It's a good starting point to try and use Zekrom. Let me know how you do with it. If someone can make the rental team with this, that would be great. And then just send it to me, and then you know we'll be in business. I'll use it for a video. But again, if you're interested in things like this, you know where we build teams from scratch, and if you want to build with me. Check out coaching on the channel. That is a tier 3 sub to the channel. If you look in the video description below, you're able to join with that tier 3 membership, and then you know we'll build a team that you're interested in together on Discord, and then you have at it, right? I'll show you some damage calcs. I'll show you how to do EVs from scratch, or if you're just interested in fixing up a team you have already. That's team fixing. That's a tier 2 sub to the channel. Once again, you can just send me your Pokepaste via DMs on either Discord or Twitter, and then I'll try to optimize it based on how I see fit in the current Series 13 minutes. So yeah, let me know what you think of Zekrom in this type of format as of this moment. But yeah, we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good night.